Kia is a company that definitely believes in electric cars, and from what I've driven over the years, I believe in Kia's electric cars. This is the new electric EV3. This is obviously smaller than the EV6, a car which I drove for several months as a long-term family mule and thoroughly enjoyed it. But the thing about this is it promises to have the best range in its class and probably undercuts the price of a lot of its rivals. This will apparently do 375 miles on one charge. So there we go, EV2 concept. EV4, which is like this but lower and slightly more sleek. We've got the PV van, first electric Kia van coming, first Kia van coming. Kia's busy. Anyway, what do you want to know about this? It's a 4.3 metre long family. I'm not going to call it an SUV, I'm going to call it a crossover, but the point is very boxy at the back, which means it's maximising boot space and internal space, and I think that's great in a world where there's a lot of pointlessly swoopy back ends of family cars. There is some storage under there, but it's so token I almost can't be asked to show you. I said I wouldn't show it to you, but you know, this is a consumer review, so I will. Here it is. It's I can fit 3 shoes in there. 3. You could fit a cable in there, but it's just annoying to pull the bonnet release and get a cable out, I find, although the charging port is in the front, not the back, so maybe it would work. The EV3 is a bit of a Lego block, really, and I say that as a complimentary thing. I mean, the grey I can take or leave, but that's fashion these days, isn't it? And there's quite a lot of squared off surfaces, actually, with curves in between. Roof bars, totally vertical back end, and we'll look at the boot in a second. These pop out door handles on the front for aero, which when they work, they're great. If they don't work, they're damn annoying. And at the back here, you've got a handle up there. 4.3 metres long. It is slightly higher than the Megane from Renault, and also the Smart #1, I think, and also its arch rival, the Cupra born and Volkswagen ID3. Luckily, at the back, it's got a phenomenal boot. Let's have a look at this. Right, get my coat out of the way. Look at this. This is good. There's actually a big space down there, and you can pull this false floor like so many cars and drop it down. I think that's 460 litres. It is really good. It's so open here with extra cubbies down there. The plastic looks a little bit easily scratched. It's practical. I like it a lot. You know, I've not done that many miles on this car before starting to film. Sometimes you get a chance to, sometimes you don't. As soon as I got in it and set off, it feels hugely familiar in a cosy, kind of homely way. I've done a lot of journeys in electric Hyundais, Kias, and I love the lounge effect of them. I love the fact that they've done away with center consoles, because I remember years ago at motor shows when electric car concepts came out and they were saying it's going to change the landscape of interior design as we know it. We can change proportions, we can rewrite rule books, and yet so many manufacturers have stuck to their guns on convention with big bulky center consoles and things. This makes it feel so much more roomy, less things to bash your knees and legs against, dash being away from you and just quite simple. And I'm a massive fan of it. There's sort of quite tasteful two-tone greys with the like the recycled fibre textiles. This here looks like a modern kitchen worktop. In fact, it looks like a chopping board. Perceived quality seems good. Real quality, I still don't know yet. It's hard to know how this will date. It might date like grey window frames on fashion houses, which I think are going to look shite really quickly. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I have always reviewed EVs. I've been driving EVs since about 2008, and I built the world's quickest street legal electric car. Started in 2012 and got the record in 2015. So you will see the playlist of new cars features heavily electric cars, and it always will do. But as I say to the doubters, there's good EVs and there's CAC ones, in the same way that there's good piston cars and there's CAC ones. It smells a bit strange in here, and I don't know whether it's because of some of the recycled fibres. I've checked the bottoms of my shoes. I haven't trodden anything naughty in. It kind of smells like slightly old fish. There is reclaimed sea materials, plastics and things, boot liner that the launch car comes with, and various other bits and bobs, which I love. But new cars do kind of smell. And usually this one doesn't have a sunroof or a pano roof. But it's a really high roof because it's more of a squared off car. Do you know what it is? It's like a Kia Soul V3 that's not called a Soul. Is it going to date the exterior? See, Kia have gone for more spaceship kind of shapes, and Hyundai have gone for, I don't know actually, origami. But this has got a combination of the two, because on that rear quarter, I'm looking down the back there, it's got a really mad squared off arch. In fact, the whole car mimics a little bit of Kia EV9, the gigantic electric offering, the sort of Volvo XC90 Discovery thing. I did a review on that and not many people watched it, which made me sad, because it's actually a really good car. Surprisingly so. Front end is very kind of plain, with the kind of alien style eyes, which I'm getting used to. I mean, I like weird looking cars, but I can imagine it scares a lot of people. But there's so many boring cars out there. At least what Kia and Hyundai are doing is going, we're not going to follow anybody. We're just going to be out there. And they are out there, but not at the detriment of practicality. Have a look inside. Okay, welcome to the e-Gimp. You know what I mean? It's this flat floor bespoke electric car platform of Kias and Hyundais, which underpins pretty much anything. And it's great because it means you've got loads of space back here. This seat is actually as far back as I would drive, and I can sit behind myself. You've got the little charging ports discreetly in the side of there. I love these seats and these headrests. The headrests are so comfortable. They're almost memory foam, and they do look like the profile of ET from your angle. Not a bad thing. ET's cool. Pull down armrest here. I think the seat fabric is a little bit boring. I think it's just pleather. I think it's just imitation leather, because pretty sure Kia aren't doing leather anymore. But it would have been nice to have had some interesting fabrics like that. That's a nice fabric. That fabric on the dash, that's cool too. I'd like a bit of that in here. Like the Ioniq 5, which to me is still one of the best electric cars that's been invented. I think it's a wonderful vehicle. If only they made an Ioniq 5 that was slightly smaller but looked the same. Yeah, like what Audi do. They just make Russian dolls. There's the little selector, the drive selector, which is down here. It actually has an on-off button as well as the, you know, twist to go into drive, neutral, reverse, etc. And I couldn't see it when I adjusted the seat for my position. So I couldn't work out how the car went on. I was just pressing the brake and expecting it to activate with the weight of my bum on the seat, but it didn't. So it's just there. And then you've got a heated seat, 3-stage, heated steering wheel, 2-stage up here on the door, and this really nice kind of like, well, it's like a brushed aluminium effect plastic bar. But Kia and Hyundai, they're so bold with their shapes and their designs, but at the core of it is practicality, and that's why I think this size car, 4.3 meters long, maximising that boot space, that cut-off boot for good boot space there, good rear legroom, although I think the legroom at the back is slightly less than the ID3, but the boot is bigger, 460 litres. In here, we're quite familiar with this sort of layout with Kias and Hyundais, and I think it's great. You've got physical buttons here, you've got a very open cockpit because they haven't gone for a full width console because you don't need one. What's the point? So as a result, loads of knee room, just feels a little bit more special and plush. Some of these surfaces, I mean, they're like lots of recycled fibres and things. Some of it, there's a perceived quality that's not great, and I don't really understand that. It can go in and out. but you don't put your arm on there, you put your arm on there. So what's that for? Is it a chopping board? I don't know. But I love the physical buttons for the important stuff. I think the screen is quite discreet and tasteful, although it does protrude from the dash like everything. It doesn't sit like a gigantic, ridiculous tablet here. Love the fabric here. Lots of different subtle colours. It's just a relaxing place to sit. And these seats, if they're the same as the EV6, which I think they are, they're really comfortable. I also like the steering wheel. I think the steering wheel is pretty cool. And again, no haptic buttons, real thumb wheels. The only haptic-y buttons are here. Yeah, they're there. Yeah. Amazing to think that a car this size with a really deep floor has such a big battery under it. An enormous battery. You can go nearly 400 miles in this. That's brilliant. It's so good. Irrespective of the fact that, I don't know, it'll only do 105 miles an hour, but who cares? Who cares about top speed nowadays? This is not that kind of car. Charging is in there. You can see no dangly nonsense rubber bungs. You fold that one down for rapid charging and the Type 2 one is immediately available. This car does not have the 800 volt architecture that some of the other Kias and Hyundais have. Presumably for cost, because this starts at 33 grand, which is actually pretty good considering the battery pack is 80 something kilowatt hours and it'll do that theoretical 375 mile range. Although, having driven lots of electric Korean cars, they're normally pretty honest when it comes to their efficiency. 4.1 miles per kilowatt hour, allegedly. This is front wheel drive and it will charge at a maximum of 129 kilowatts rapid charge. The basic model does less than that. Charging ports on the front wing, which I kind of like really because you can nose up to stuff. You don't have to bother reversing in if you're tired to a rapid charge point, public charging point. So I quite like that. Be interested to know whether you as an EV driver prefer a nose location of a charging port or a bum location. It also doesn't have a silly toggle that hangs down. I think you just open the door and the Type 2 is right there. Really quiet. I'd like to see a bit more interesting fabric on the seats. This is sort of vinyl of some description because Kia is trying to phase out leather. But that's nice. That textile there should be on here, I think. Like the Ioniq 5 uses that lovely salt and pepper fabric that I like so much. In fact, that's still probably my favourite electric car, you know, the Ioniq 5. And that uses a version of this floor pan, albeit rear-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. So this is front-wheel drive only, whereas other cars on this platform have been, or bigger cars, have been rear-wheel drive. There is confirmation of an all-wheel drive, so twin motor version, but we don't know if it's coming to the UK. It's definitely coming to Europe. It's 201 horsepower, which I'm sure is the same as the e-Niro, so presumably the same motor, and also what was the Kia Soul and the Kona. But what's exciting for me about cars like the EV3 is the EV6, which I did live with for a long time as a long-term test car. A really enjoyable car to drive. I felt it was slightly too big. Ioniq 5 really is slightly too big for me, I think. This is the sweet spot, but as we're moving into more and more EVs on the road, we're seeing bigger batteries or more efficient batteries, so better range in a smaller package. Hence my interest with things like the EV2. I'm really excited about that. Because to me, EVs shouldn't be huge, luxurious vehicles. This is more than enough luxury, I would say. More than enough luxury. And you know, passenger cars shouldn't be north of 2 tons. They just shouldn't. Everything, we should be shedding weight, not adding weight. Anyway, corners. You know, the grip is really good. You're getting body roll because it is a little bit softer, but it's not a car you're going to tip into corners hard and experience every single fibre of communication. It's just not that. It's 1,885 kilos. The battery's nearly half a ton, 470 kilos, I think, front wheel drive. So it does feel like a Kia Soul and similar other Kias and Hyundais. Of course, it uses the same platform, that e-GIMP platform, which is bespoke electric car platform. So give it a punch and you're to 60 or 62 in like 7.6 or something like that. It's slower than the Kia e-Niro. And here's where it gets a little bit confusing, because I thought this was replacing the Kia e-Niro, but Kia say it isn't. I'm pretty sure it's very similar size. But of course the Niro can be bought with a piston engine, a plug-in hybrid, a mild hybrid as well. And Kia are serious about electric cars. At a time when a lot of other manufacturers are shrinking their range, Kia and Hyundai are like, oh no, we're going to expand our range. In fact, we're going to hedge our bets on both things. A really solid product lineup of piston, a really solid product lineup of electric. We're doing 60, and it's a really quiet place. It's comfortable. As I suspected, the suspension is calibrated more for comfort. It's on the softer side rather than, you know, sporty firmness like we're akin to with a lot of German cars over the years. It's not a sharp car in terms of dynamics, but it's a satisfying car to cruise around in and do long distances in the same way that it's most definitely not trying to be a sports car. This to me is the perfect size for a family of 4, you know, or a family of 3. I think this works really well. This appeals to me more size-wise than most other segments. At a time when a lot of EVs and cars in general are just going batshit crazy with high prices, this is priced very, very keenly. Very keenly. When you consider the size of that battery pack, 80 something kilowatt hours. Yeah, the binging and bonging is a bit annoying, I must say. I've always found the layout to be pretty easy to understand, and you can, of course, like all digital binnacles, you can shuffle around these things. You've got the HVAC just here. You can shift with the physical buttons. These buttons are funny. They're sort of haptic, I think, but slightly rubberized. I quite like those. They haven't gone with the haptic everything. These are still physical buttons here. And these little tabs for temperature and fan, I like a lot. I don't know what it is about the Koreans and EVs. There's a really quiet, tasteful confidence about them. You know what? It's almost like if Saab came back, there would be a feeling of this going on. Because Saab would go, well, why do you need a centre console? You don't. And although Polestar is obviously Swedish, Volvo, it does quality really nicely, it still has big conventional centre consoles and stuff, which I feel is a bit too trad. So let me get this right. The EV3 has 30% more range, it charges quicker, and yet it costs less than the Kia e-Niro, which Kia says is still going to exist. This is not going to replace it. So this is a better car than that. Kia are dominating. I think the only people in the electric sector that can really compete with Kia, my personal opinion this is Renault. Renault and Kia have really got their EV credentials, credibility, mojo, whatever you want to call it, absolutely nailed, and it's exciting. It's really, really exciting to see. But the great thing about these cars, having lived with them for a bit and driven the bigger ones and the more powerful ones, is they're really comfortable. They're cosseting inside, they feel cozy, they feel nice. The warranty is just amazing. The boot space is great. So what's not to like? I mean, this thing will do nearly 400 miles for 34,000 quid. That's not a lot of money for a new car, any new car, piston or otherwise, in this world today. But is it too weird for you? It's not for me. I'd like to know what you think. Let me know in the comments section, or maybe if you drive an existing Korean electric car, tell me what you like about it and maybe what you don't so much like about it. As usual, I'd love you to subscribe to The Late Break Show if you haven't already. Maybe you want to support the channel via Patreon. You get early access to videos like this and blogs from me every week about what I'm up to. And the other thing I'd like to suggest that you do is try an electric car if you haven't tried one yet. They're not for everybody. They will not fit everybody's lifestyle, but there's something fantastic about them, and they are very, very useful for an awful lot of people, especially as a second car. Thanks for watching.